we haven't carved pumpkins in a while.
Yeah, that's true. There's actually a pumpkin patch down the road. We should go.
Yeah, I want like a big one. I want to make it spooky.
Yeah, and maybe paint it with like some eyes.
Make it fun like clown and weird like split nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. You okay over there, Michael?
It's Halloween. It's Halloween.
Merry Crumbus.
Merry Crumbus. Is it Halloween?
I wish it was, Michael. I wish it was.
Damn it.
No, wait. It is Halloween.
Ah!
And welcome to Every Film in the Book.
If you couldn't tell by how ridiculous we're dressed right now, I think Michael is the most comfortable out of all of us.
Hey,
yeah.
feels good.
Yeah, I see you dressed for the occasion. It's
it's a holiday.
Yeah.
We said dress up, but I don't think he knew which holiday we were talking about.
I don't think we specified in the text.
Yeah.
I
Are you
thought it
like an elf / Santa?
No, I'm
'Cause, like-
slowly morphing into the
No.
spider lady.
Dude, you would have thick thighs.
No.
Like, did you see how she was climbing up?
Like a spider?
Yeah.
She's the spider lady.
But I don't like. I loved the idea of like creepy lady in the wall. Like that's awesome. But I want to know how she developed the ability to like become a super fast spider through some of this.
Well, I'm sure we'll figure out how through discussing this movie today. We'll have some theories. And whatnot.
Some meandering, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Some pot shots at Michael's nipples.
There will be no pot shots.
There will be.
But plenty.
I'm gonna be
meandering.
ripping off pieces of paper and.
You lose your place in your notes.
No, don't worry.
You're
I won't even
goner.
read these. Little do you know, I can't even read.
So this week we're doing Cobweb.
Yeah, we're covering Cobweb. It's a newer one. I think it just came out either this year or in 2022.
I think it's 2023.
Oh,
This
sweet.
year.
See, I'm on top of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by that
Yeah.
I mean I did literally no research.
Nope.
None at all.
None.
Went into this blind, and I'm kind of glad we went into this blind because when you watch the trailer, which we did before we actually sat down, you don't really like it leads you down like a certain path that this movie isn't actually about. Like if you watch the trailer, you don't really like you're gonna go into this thinking, oh man, it's a crazy parent movie, but it's completely out of left field what actually happens.
Right. It was. I like it because, like Steve said, I didn't look anything. I didn't even read the tagline. We just threw the trailer on, then watched the film. And I like doing that with some of the newer ones. And normally it bums you out.
Yeah.
But this one, I felt like at the end of it, I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm glad I didn't read anything about it.
Yeah.
I feel like modern horror movies are coming back around with having really original storylines, and we're not just repeating the same things over and over again.
Right.
And it's not just about jump scares anymore. And I really, really appreciate that.
I'm glad
Yay.
you brought that up because I was legitimately scared.
And
in
there
this
was
movie.
not a single typical jump scare.
No, like there was no like, oh, surprise startle from the dad. Oh,
Yeah.
honey, I didn't know you didn't know I was here.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
come on.
I was waiting for that at that first scene that we
Yeah.
see.
Yep.
I thought the first thing they were going to do, I'm like, okay, here comes a jump scare. And there wasn't. It was just
Right.
the little knocking
Yeah, it wasn't.
through the walls.
It wasn't like in your face or anything.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't a loud
refreshing.
jarring knock, like no loud fucking violins chirping in the background.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, with the music, I don't know, overall the whole film, you didn't notice the music.
I was going to say that.
Right,
I didn't
right.
notice
No,
it
you
at
don't,
all.
you don't notice because it fits where it's supposed to be.
Right.
Like, the music is where it's supposed to be, so that's how it should sound.
Yeah, no, and it was more of setting like the mood, not so much setting the tension.
Right.
Where like you know, that whole opening credits is like to that somber kind of like, oh man, I'm a depressed kid going to school again.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, no, I thought this one was this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to get into before we start talking about the film is, for a good bit of the start, I was like, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
Oh, okay, this is what's going to happen. Oh, okay, here it is. Because they don't spoon feed you stuff, but they definitely set up everything really well.
Right.
But it was kind of that feeling. It's like, okay, well, here's the characters. Here's what they're doing. Oh, it's the front of a house. It's not the nicest house in the world.
Right.
I've seen 58 movies that start just like this.
Right.
And knowing how it ends, I was glad they did that at the start. They're like, hey, we kind of want to do things the way they're done.
Right.
But also, we're going to do the rest of the film way better.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we got to a certain point. I'm like, there's still 30 minutes left of this movie.
Right.
Like, where the hell are we going
Right.
with this?
Yeah, because what you think was going to be the end all did not end it, and the movie kept going.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should say, like, if you haven't seen this yet, or if you have any desire to see this, definitely watch it before you finish or continue on with this, because don't spoil this for yourself.
Don't spoil this one for yourself if you can help it.
Yeah,
because the surprises. What's funny is the surprises was the story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like if you do that a couple times, your movie's automatically way better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many other movies that are very similar to this, because this is not a new concept, that the demon thing wants to talk to the kid talks back, all of a sudden, here we go, there's crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, we're off to the races.
There's a ton of those like that, but I don't know, they just kind of, I don't know, I think they did it well.
Oh yeah.
No, and I mean, just from the beginning, like my first thing was, I'm like, it's already creepy. I'm like,
yeah,
all they did was just establish the kid is hearing creaks in the house, and then he's off to school, and I'm like, God, I'm like, already, ooh, spooky.
Yeah. And a thing that Michael says a lot is they didn't have a lot of fat on this movie.
They didn't.
Yeah, they gave you all the information that you needed, and they gave it to you in just enough time to like keep unveiling more and more of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But without doing the classic plot dump at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And hey, was this narrated? Was there a narration at the start of this film?
In my head there was.
Yeah.
When that title popped up, it was like 1 week before Halloween.
It's like
I knew you were going to be wearing this, so I was like, 'twas the week before Halloween, and all through the pumpkin patch. Oh no. But yeah, it starts a week before Halloween. You meet your kid, our main character, Peter.
He's
your kid.
He's not mine.
I thought you adopted him.
Fine.
All right.
Put him in the basement.
Put him in the basement. So you meet Peter. He's going through like his morning routine, and you get that opening of like the creaking in the house, and like already when like he calls his parents in and they're like, hey, I'm hearing something in the walls. Like it kind of took me back to when I was a kid and I got scared, and like you call your parents and they're like, whatever, just go to bed. Like shut the hell up. I gotta go be a nurse tomorrow.
That's what I said. I was like, she's not getting out of bed for that. What? Like, that's such a minor inconvenience. It's like, no, go away.
Yeah.
Go away. I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Which is completely appropriate. Yeah.
It's like, shut the hell up.
Or like my mom would ask, she's like, are you bleeding? No. All right, give me a second. Like whether or not she had to rush. Yeah.
Did you wet the bed?
Right?
No?
Did you puke?
No, all right.
Is there anything I have to clean up? No. All right, fine. Go back to bed.
That was my favorite when the door opened. It's like, Mom, I threw it up.
Mom, I threw it up on myself. And even though we, as we watched the movie, we filled that space in with just saying something silly. It's like, I'm glad there was the space there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing felt like it dragged.
Mm-hmm.
But the camera didn't feel like it was everywhere, which in this style, you can either do these longer shots, or you can be constantly like, I forget the movie it was. We were like, okay, so we're going to show the room. Then we're going to show the person. Then we're going to show them walking into the room.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that was The Midnight Man.
Right.
Yeah.
Like people did all the same things walking around a house,
right.
But it wasn't shot terribly to where it was like, that's not a real house. That's not how you walk in a home.
Yeah, no, they let this movie breathe.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like they let the scenes stay there, and like what was legitimately creepy, they let you just sit in the room with the kid and be like, "Oh God, I don't like knocking at my walls." But we meet Michael's first and only love here, Miss Divine.
Yeah, we're going with this. Okay.
It was just like they said her name. I was like, oh, Miss Divine. Like before I even saw her walk into the door, I was like, oh, Divine.
With a name like that,
and
I'm like,
I never had any substitute teachers look like that.
Yeah, no.
True.
Like, I swear, maybe it was just my district. It was always like the old fat white guy, and he was always like miserable. He's like, "All right, shut up. I got a worksheet for you."
But that was a good explanation of the kid's behavior in the school that you see for the first time. It's just this throwing stuff around, then she gets introduced. But that was one time where I was like, okay, that's not exactly.
Yeah, like they always show like classrooms like this. Now, like we did at least some student teaching, but it's never been to the point where like the kids are throwing shit all over the classroom, and then as you walk in, it's like, oh, I'm back to normal.
It was very movie classroom.
Well, I was homeschooled, so I wouldn't really know.
True.
But
it was pure
as a
war.
homeschooler, I honestly thought that's kind of like what school was like sometimes. Does that never happen?
No,
ever?
that almost never happens.
In public school?
Public school, you know what the worst thing that would happen in public school homeroom? It would be like some guy would like fart, and then some girl would be like, gross, and then the teacher would be like, settle down. And
then it never got to like war zone.
Yeah, no, we were never like launching shit from our desks. Like, mortar strike incoming.
Right? If you look at the floor in the classroom during that scene, like it's just paper airplanes and trash everywhere.
Right.
But no, not quite. But that is the movie.
The Hollywood.
Here's a bunch of rowdy kids at school.
It's like, oh, spooky. And then, they let all the kids out for recess, and our Peter's like, nah, I'll just chill in here with this like cool spider that's like crawling across my desk here.
Right.
Yeah, but they really show immediately that he is just a quiet kid who does nothing wrong, and all this terrible stuff keeps happening.
Yeah, like he's
to him.
bullied. His parents are like gaslighting him.
Yeah. Then they let you watch for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, enjoy this. You know how you wanted to have a fun Sunday? Nope.
Yeah.
You're gonna be miserable, just like Peter.
But they do the classic, like you said, quiet, soft-spoken kid getting bullied, and what they push him down, like they trip him on the bus, then they push him down, then they paint what are the jack-o'-lanterns?
Pumpkins.
Yeah, and the kid freaking breaks his pumpkin,
smashes it out of him.
Yeah, I was like, Peter just has a hard life, and
getting
it sucks.
Bullied, man.
Yeah, but they go back to Peter's house, and he's being a typical kid, like, oh, Miss Divine asked like what I was gonna be for Halloween. What am I gonna be for Halloween? And the parents go into this like, he's like, don't you ever say Halloween in my house.
And from there, I think they're kind of like, all right, this family's a little odd.
Yes.
But the house is a little creepy. Like, we're watching the movie. We know something weird's going to happen.
Right.
But it's like, okay, well, what's weird about them? Because they're in it.
Yeah, it's like I paid for a horror movie. I know this is going to get spooky.
It's going to get crazy.
But I like how they kind of almost give a reason. Like, it's almost like a legitimate like parent reason. Like, oh, this little girl went missing up the street like a few years back. Like, we would just prefer you not out trick-or-treating on Halloween.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. If I heard that as a kid, it's like, yeah, all right. It sucks, but at least
logic.
It's a legitimate thing.
Right.
Because we said so.
Yeah.
That's usually what it is.
Right?
Yeah. But
it does. I feel like that little piece of information makes you think the parenting is normal for much longer than you should.
Right.
I feel like if we didn't get that one little piece of information at the start, we'd have been like, these guys, like, we knew something was off. We were like, this is headed in a dark direction.
Yeah.
But that little, they had a reason for it, so
yeah, like, it's just an
like,
overprotective family. Like, don't worry about it. They're definitely not creepies. They definitely don't have a dungeon basement behind their fridge.
You kind of assume something weird's going to happen, and then that kind of like relieves you a little bit, and you're like, all right, well, what's going to happen? Oh, I forgot they were Oof, I forgot they were a little strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep getting progressively more and more creepy as the movie
Right.
goes on.
And it's almost like as Peter's talking to this voice in the wall that he just discovers here, like the voice creeps out to him and is like, Peter, don't tell. And it's like, I need to help you. And it's like once he starts talking to that voice more and more, like the parents start slipping more and more, and like they start getting more and more extreme. Like it's a cool way to like amp everything up at the same time.
Yeah.
It is interesting because you said both of those levels get elevated at the same. But what I want to know is the I think she's doing it, like the thing in the film.
Yeah.
I think that's creating all that stuff.
The tension.
She does say, she's like, I had to wait for you to get old enough.
Right.
Whatever. So that was just one thing I was wondering. I was like, did she make them both do what you want?
Right. Well, and there's like that other scene where the mom is like, because like we find out through this voice that like, oh, there's something behind this like clock in the parents' room, and like that's the key to my freedom, whatever. But like there's that one scene where the mom like closes the clock and she's walking away with like a picture. So I'm like, are they like feeding the thing in the wall?
Like keeping it alive?
Yeah.
That's they didn't really explain it much, but they didn't. And this where it was kind of cool is they didn't go, like there was a physical hole in the wall.
Yeah.
There was physical doors where physical doors should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't go like the kind of mystic route.
Yeah, it wasn't
which
like
I kind of liked, but I think I was still expecting a little bit mystic.
right. Like did you see the movie The Boy?
Yeah.
Well, like that kind of did something like this, but it played more on like the supernatural aspect where it was like, oh, the doll's moving around the house without anyone like being in the room or whatever.
And
like things are missing.
This one just was like, no, they locked her down there and like Bane, she adapted to her surroundings. And
I do
out.
personally think that there is some demonic element to it where, it's not actually a human anymore. Like it's a creature.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't exactly look human either.
Right, but it's like, how could a human survive in conditions like that? So it's like, I think it was kind of a demonic presence inside of the body.
Ooh, a demon baby.
Personally, but they didn't. You're right, they didn't go too hard into that. But I think that's kind of what
like
they
come
were
up
trying
with
to
like
do.
your own like headcanon
right
kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's part of why it was so cool, because they were just they didn't explain, like they explained why, but they didn't really explain anything after that. And I think they kind of did that on purpose, where it's like, okay, now you have to figure out what's
like what's real, like what's fake.
Yeah, they showed more than they explained.
Yeah.
And then what does that have to do with the girl getting kidnapped in Halloween?
Yeah.
Right.
Did she get out
Like
that Halloween and then eat some girl?
Right.
Did I just miss it?
No, yeah, the spider lady says something about it. But I don't know if it was like a trick to Peter, because like she mentions like, oh, the little girl that went missing saw me and tried to help, so the parents killed her.
Oh, okay.
And that's like the skeleton in the backyard.
That can either make sense or not.
Right.
Right.
But the skeleton thing was weird, because although I've never actually watched a kid like dig up a grave before, so I don't know how big a hole that a
not how you spend your weekends
can dig, but it wasn't very deep, especially if you're planting stuff, because the roots will bring,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I can let that slide.
Yeah, and I think like the more that we start like dissecting this, the more you're gonna start like being like, well, wait a second, if like the parents didn't kill the person, or if they did, what was the whole thing with like the pumpkin dry rot that were like, seems like a creepy part, like, oh, there's too many dead bodies in the ground, that's why all the pumpkins are rotting.
No, this probably do the opposite, but yeah.
I mean, dead bodies are, they would like fertilize the ground.
Oh.
But I mean, I think
I
think part of that is like the whole, demonic like presence being on the property is just like killing everything.
Right.
Because the whole house,
Right.
everything around it was just dead.
See, now I think you're onto something with that, because like maybe it is just like a weird demon baby, because like when you actually see this thing up close and like you see its face, it's got like
The mouth is way wider. Yeah.
and it's got like weird like what's that cat from Alice in Wonderland?
The Cheshire cat. with
Yeah,
smile.
and like the
grin.
freaking eyes, and it's like
That's the first thing I said when I saw its face. I was like, oh, that's the Cheshire cat.
Yeah. I never knew how to pronounce that.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
I don't know. We can say it wrong if we want.
The choo choo train cat.
Yeah.
But and like throughout the movie, they're kind of like playing more into like, oh well, maybe the parents actually are crazy, and like with this voice in there and like kind of steering you that way. Like I can't like out of all the horror movies we've seen, like I was even falling for it. I'm like, oh, maybe there is a little girl in the wall there. Like maybe Anthony Starr is crazy. Like I mean, he's crazy as Homelander. Why not be a crazy dad here?
Right.
I think I had one moment where I thought maybe they're trying to do something different, but then I was like, yeah, no, it's definitely a demonic
Yeah, there's
thing.
got to be something.
It's got to be something crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, dude, that when the mom like questions the kid and she's like, oh, what's the hole in the wall? And she's like goes into the what did she tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she starts freaking out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a good scene.
Great.
Yeah. Some of the
Good
things
acting.
they did really well was I didn't like the mom from the get-go.
Right.
Like you knew she was kind of weird.
Yeah, she
and
made you
just
uncomfortable.
off. Yeah,
Mhm.
very uncomfortable. Then to go back into the order of things here, like the stuff's happening at school and the way she was talking to the substitute teacher when she went to visit,
Yeah.
it was like it was cold, but it
Mhm.
was like just pleasant enough to be like this passes for human interaction.
Right.
But also I might stab you at any moment.
It reminded
Got the
me of
crazy
like
eyes.
yeah, like reminded me of all like the Criminal Minds episodes when they did like the abusive parents, and they're always like, no, Jimmy's just a very bright boy and don't worry
Right.
about it. This picture's nothing crazy.
And
Don't
then they
worry.
close the door and they started like
Yeah, and
beating their
then like you
kids,
start
like-
hearing the yelling, and it's like, and like the TV cuts away, and
Right.
it's like, oh, dramatic on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the lady they got to play the mom was like
Mhm.
she
Creepy.
like
Creepy
she
lady.
just switched it on and off. Like it was
Mhm.
insane. Like trick or treat, go away.
Right. And that was the only. Well, the dad yelled once,
Yes.
but he was kind of even keeled throughout the whole thing.
right.
And
But in that like reserved, angry dad
Right,
kind of
he's
way, where you know he's gonna snap at any moment.
but he
Mhm.
did it for like 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and then he yelled. We were like, oh, okay, that's why he doesn't yell much. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for his meltdown. Cuz like the way they set up the dynamic with these parents, it seems like the mom is like terrified of the dad in most of these situations and doesn't want to like, he draws the picture at school and the dad doesn't find out about it until after Peter pushes the kid
Yep.
down the stairs. And then he's like, what picture? And then he starts like freaking out about the
Right,
picture, and the
'cause he
mom's
didn't
like,
know.
yeah, and she's like, I didn't want to like have you jump to conclusions. So it's like, it seems like she's terrified of him, and like you can't really get a read on him because like,
Yeah.
No.
But it doesn't seem like they have relationship problem. Like it seems like they're on the same page about how they're
Right.
disciplining their child, and they both know what's in their basement or whatever.
Right.
So like
right.
I don't think it's that she was terrified of him as much as like she's terrified of
What could happen?
yeah.
Right. And I think like the more Peter complained about like noises and hearing voices in the wall, they started being
They
like,
started freaking out.
they're like, okay,
Yep.
it's only a matter of
Might
time
be.
before this spider starts spidering.
Right.
Which I never. And I don't get the cobweb thing. I mean, she says down there, like
She
I
has
was
a
down
mini
here
monologue.
with
Yeah.
spiders and rats.
Yeah, well,
Cobwebs.
like I guess they're describing her like hair because it's like cobwebby
There were
and
spiders
got
in it.
spiders in it.
I guess.
Maybe that's like her nickname on the streets.
Yo, cobweb.
So. Yep. Yep.
All right, well we figured it out.
All right, end it there.
Figured it out. All
That's the
right.
episode.
Oh my god. But yeah, no, because like when they first like kind of showed her and like the hair is like how she's like introduced and
That's
it's, like,
all you
fallen.
see is the hair.
Yeah, like I had the thought that it was like a sentient cobweb. And it's just like a bunch
that's all
of
they
random
showed.
it's like a bunch of random spiders just dragging a cobweb.
Well, the first thing they
It's
show.
like one giant spider in the middle of it all
Yeah,
controlling.
Controlling everything. Well, they only showed the little cobweb thing with all the spider webs on
Right.
it, and then it moved,
Yeah.
and it wasn't attached to anything that you could see. So
Yeah.
that's not too far off.
Yeah.
Right. And
It
like,
would have been a much different picture, though.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I think I would have been like, oh, really? This is
Really?
where we're
This is
going.
where we're going.
It's a
But yeah.
sentient spider web.
I mean, speaking of all that, that's another thing that they did that a lot of movies don't really do is they didn't show much of the creature
Yeah, that's
until the
true.
last like 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
They did everything else
Yeah.
exactly
Honestly,
the way you wanted.
there were a few moments where they did show her where it took me out of it a little bit. Like there were a few
Yeah, some
CGI
of the effects
moments.
on her, like her moving and like
Yeah.
skittering around, I'm like,
I don't think she needed to skitter.
no.
Yeah.
It was creepy enough her being able to like rip a dude in half. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you needed the
Yeah,
skittery.
that was kind of
Right.
wild.
It was
Or
more
explode
creepy.
someone under a piano.
Yeah, like, holy
Mm.
shit.
It was more creepy the less you saw of her.
Right. Like, honestly, the scene of her first getting released and like you just hear that chuckle and then like
Yeah.
and then like the hand is just like
That's all you needed.
like
Back off, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Sorry. Public Christmas.
That was what was fun about it is how many other not to put it in the category, but how many other monster movies don't show you the monster, then only show it at the end, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, like
And
what
then-
was, what was that one we just watched about like the deer demon thing? Like that was weird when they finally like
Antler?
they
Yeah.
finally show you the thing and I'm like, "Oh, that's fucking stupid."
That's stupid. Yes, so it tends to take people out of the movie when they
Right.
finally show it,
Right.
and that's I think most of that is just a testament to how well the first part of the movie went, setting it up.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I find the cooler the idea. Generally, I'm not that interested in the monster. 'Cause
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, but the way they set this up was the
Mhm.
same, but it was completely different.
Yeah, you almost don't care if it's a little janky
Nah.
when they set it up well.
Right. Well, cuz I mean you get sucked in like you're
Mhm.
Yep.
you can't look away. Like there was like I didn't want to look, but I also didn't want to look
Right.
away.
Yeah.
And some ruin movies.
Yeah.
And then this one didn't even come close to ruining the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, no.
By having it in there, it was like, all right, but this is so good, I don't care. It's
Yeah.
trying
Right.
to eat more people now.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, it creeped me out so much just hearing her running around the house.
Yep.
Like
Yeah. What's creepier, the light footsteps or the thuds? Like
the thuds. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, cuz like you creep around whatever, it could just be a creaky floorboard.
Right.
It happens. But when you hear thuds and like
It's like
palms
they don't-
slapping walls, you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh god."
They don't
It's
care who
coming
hears
for
them.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
'Cause that seems to be pretty popular with how these things are done. Like everything's quiet until everybody in the house is aware of its
Mhm.
existence, and then it just tears through.
Mhm.
yeah.
But I think that was pretty. It was a neat way to take little girl voice to like ripping teenagers in half.
Right.
Like, it was pretty cool.
No,
It was
but
pretty cool.
I loved that like dream sequence they give Peter
Yep.
where like the dad's like clicking in the corner and then the mom's doing her jazz hands.
This is danger mode,
Spirit fingers.
I'm in attack mode.
right? She started running out of bed.
Oh my god.
But she had the glowy eyes.
Yeah, she had the glowy eyes.
Mhm.
And like, dude, just her running at the door. It reminded me of like that shot from I mean, it is spooky season, so I'm bringing up a lot of other horror movies. I'm sorry. It reminded me of the shot from Annabelle where it's like the little girl in the one room. She runs at the door. When she opens the door, it's the bigger version of her. Like, I thought this was so much scarier because it
Yeah.
wasn't a jump scare. Like, it didn't lead into like a loud bang or whatever. Like, mom comes in, fucking shit gets nuts, and then we're done.
Mm.
And with the ending of that dream sequence, the camera did some cool stuff.
Yes.
And they did it. They kind of peppered it in to the movie, but they didn't overdo it.
No.
And they didn't do it just once where you're like, wait, why'd they do that then? It was
Mhm.
just once. So they did it a few times, But it was neat. It was cool how they did it.
Yeah,
and
it was a well set up like scare.
Yep. And sure, it might be the standard, upside down to right side up on the bed.
Right.
That happens in horror movies all the time. But
it was a good transition.
But it was
that's
a good
smooth.
transition. That's why people do it. It was done well.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that they kind of let on that it's a dream sequence by showing the bear rug spinning.
Yeah.
Like as soon as they open up on that shot, it's like, why is that rug spinning?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm just dumb. I didn't really realize it was a dream sequence until they like had him wake up, and then I was like, oh well, that makes more sense. But I mean, I think it's also meant to be not just a dream, like it's a little bit grounded in reality of what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And they make such a point to try to get him to stop having nightmares and things like that. So we're already used to those kind of, okay, is it? And we're already thinking, is it real? Is it not? Is it real? Is it not?
Right.
So this one, they already got us thinking that's what they were going to show us. And then they did it, and it was still like really cool.
Right.
It was like, okay, I figured this was what was going on, but that was really well done.
Yeah.
Oh, so I just thought of this, and I don't know what you guys would think. So that hole that he's talking to her through the wall, did she dig that out, you think? Like, or was that hole already there? So if that's the case, why does she even care about the door? Like, couldn't she just like keep going and just get out?
You'd think, but I think it's more of a symbolic, like you have to let her out of her,
just like
her prison
right
thing.
when he, because these things need to be invited.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right when he said that, I forget what he said at the start of the film, but he's like talking to the wall, and it was like, no, I want to see you. And it's like, all right, bud. All right, you're asking
she
for
said,
it now.
like, I think you need a friend, but if you don't want to talk to me, I guess I'll go. And he's like, no, stay. And then we're like, oh, well, you just did it.
You're done.
You just signed your own death warrant,
right?
So a little bit earlier in the movie, I know we're bouncing around a bit.
Yeah, no, this is just too much fun to talk about.
Going back to the school stuff.
Yeah.
It basically gets to the point where the girl in the wall is giving him these ideas, and he's getting fed up with his bullies.
Right.
And he pushes one of them down the steps and breaks his legs.
This kid's legs are noodles.
Like shatters both legs.
And this is where the movie goes off a cliff. It's like, all right.
This is where it starts ramping up.
It's been cool. And we're like, okay, well, this is kind of nuts. Then it goes off a cliff, and it carries that same weirdness. And then they do a couple. Like it was kind of neat how we're gonna be this intense,
right? And
we're also gonna be this intense. And here's something new.
Yeah, and that's like what leads into the rest of the story. So it's that, and then he gets expelled from school, and then he gets grounded at home.
There's just something so creepy about like when he's getting ready to push that kid, and you just hear the voice going, "Make them afraid of you."
Right? Because she's been real nice.
Yeah.
And this is where I think we all looked at each other and we're like, oh, okay, we're going there. All right.
Like dude, I just gave myself chills thinking about that.
Right? It's like
and we're like saying to each other, make them pay.
Make them pay.
Break his other leg. Right? Break his friend's legs too.
But that wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting him to just like work up the courage, and since he's in that like frenzy state, like just run into a teacher or something like that. But now I just pushed him down the stairs.
Yeah. He goes to the extreme. Usually it's like, they're trying to entice the kid to do something small, and then it gets bigger. It was just like this huge thing. Yep. And then he gets expelled, and his teacher gets concerned about him. Right.
And she comes to visit.
So she, of course, has to get involved.
Yeah. Well, I felt so bad for Miss Devine. She shouldn't have been involved. She was too good for this movie.
Well, her boss told her.
Yeah. Don't make it personal.
You get emotionally invested in this.
And then before you know it, you're going to get murdered.
Spit you out. Before you know it, you're getting trapped in the house with a spider lady.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess to keep going with that, like, so the voice keeps telling him to do more and more horrible things and basically explains to him, hey, I'm your sister and your mom and dad are crazy. So here's what we're going to do.
Well, what was kind of neat was we got to experience learning that with him in the film. And a lot of times they'll cut away. Yeah. And there'll be an open book and you'll have to read it, and it's like, all right, okay, fine.
Or they go to the library.
Right.
You gotta do a montage.
There wasn't a studying,
Googling
research,
weird knocking on walls.
Research. No, they didn't have to, thankfully.
Gonna
Yeah.
need some research.
But it was what's kind of neat about that is we would have accepted girl in the basement turned into a scary demon thing. She wants out of the wall. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a horror film.
Yeah,
Do whatever.
Anything can happen.
But then, I think it's around here where we have all this stuff going on with him and his family, and he gets punished for it.
Gets
and
thrown in the basement.
Is this when we see the van full of kids and with the one mask?
Yeah,
Like
so
it was early on when we saw that toward like in the meat and potatoes of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, they tease that side of the story.
yeah, it's
we
kind of like the
we forget
start
about
of
it.
our final act is
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
van pulling up of the kid that Peter pushed down the stairs. It's like all of his like shithead cousins.
Yeah.
And they're like they're popping out of this van with like weird like animal masks. And I'm like, all
Look
right,
like
I'm like,
strangers.
I'm like,
Like
what the hell storyline is going on now? I'm like, are the
Right.
parents now gonna have to murder these 4 kids?
I was
kinda
kind of
thought-
I was there for it.
Yeah.
It would have been okay.
I thought we were about to take a full slasher turn, which we
Would've
kind
been
of
cool.
did, but like I was expecting more like, Homelander going nuts and starting like killing
Right.
kids.
But then it all went crazy.
Oh my god, no, Peter's the OG.
And
He's,
I think
Yeah.
before we talk about like, so we saw the girl on the wall talking with him.
yeah.
She gets him to do stuff. She gets him to do stuff consistently, and then we don't hear from her in the wall for a little bit. And to start this off, we see the results of something that we didn't hear her say. So it was kind of cool
Right.
because they're like, all right, cool. She can tell him, and he's messing stuff up. And then all of a sudden there's nothing. We're like, wait, we thought he was going crazy.
Yeah.
And then
And it got real quiet for a scene.
it did. It's the classic. Well, this is where the mom freaked out too. The
Oh
on
yeah.
Halloween,
It's on
everybody
Halloween
eats
night. Yeah.
disgusting pea soup.
Yeah,
like,
it's like lumpy
it was
pea soup.
lumpy. It was lumpy, weird food.
I just love did you do something different to the soup? It's good. It looks like shit, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Just,
No, it's great. And she's like, yeah, like they're both sipping it, and it tastes like cinnamon.
What I thought was funny was dude lets his wife keep eating it.
Yeah.
While he's like
just
sitting there
so
thinking about it.
mortified of the consequences. She
Yeah.
takes like 3 or 4 more bites,
Yeah.
and then she clues into what's going on.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I thought it was pretty neat because I didn't notice that he wasn't eating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was
he was
just-
playing with his.
Yeah, he was just kind of
Feelings
goofing around.
Yeah.
Right. And then they do cut to like the dad being like, stop playing with your food, when the
Mhm.
mom's like screaming at the trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I didn't expect it to be him poisoning his fucking parents with
Yeah.
rat
Rat
poison.
poison.
I was like,
My
well, he pushed the
God.
kid down. I thought it was going to be get an axe or get a whatever because they've done
Yeah.
that before. But this was just like, no, we're not going to show you or
Yeah.
tell you. You're just
Mhm.
going to see the after.
Oh my god.
And of course, he gets the rat poison from earlier when they try to convince him that it's just rats in the wall, and there's a bunch of
yeah,
rat
yeah.
poison there.
Oh, and it was a nice like subtle nod, like because I didn't even think about it until like Anthony Starr started freaking out,
When
and
he-
I'm like,
Yeah.
Call
oh
911.
shit! I'm like, he's about to start like upchucking his innards.
Yeah.
And boy, did he!
Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh my God!
It was neat that he was talking about it. And he's like, you could see his face change where
Yeah.
he realized it. And then like a second later, I was like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting violence.
Right.
And this is just different violence.
Yeah, he just he unloaded all of his innards onto the dining room table
It was awful.
in
But-
liquid form.
So here's the other thing that kind of threw me off because I didn't really understand. But like after the dad like he pukes up his guts and dies, the mom grabs a knife and now starts chasing Peter.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like,
yeah.
I didn't.
She was going psycho.
Yeah, like I
don't
didn't know if she was just like in her death throes and she was like, well, I'm taking the kid with me.
Right?
I think that was kind of. I think she was trying to kill.
Just mad.
Okay, so before that scene happens, though, there's also that scene where they're basically the girl on the wall is telling him that the parents are going to kill him.
Yeah.
And then the dad takes him outside and is like, start digging a hole. And we're like, oh my God, he's digging
Have him
his,
dig
own,
his own
grave.
grave.
He's going to make his kid dig his own grave.
Right. And then right after that, we get to the dinner scene.
Yeah.
So like leading up to it, you're thinking the parents want to kill this kid.
Yeah, and like the parents are tense during dinner.
Yeah.
So like you think something is gonna happen, like
I
they're gonna
thought
try
they
and
were
kill
gonna,
the kid.
yeah, try to kill him, but
Doorbell goes off.
yeah.
It's like, again, I can't have a family dinner.
It's like it's Halloween.
I love it.
But
Trick or
yeah,
treat.
so she chases him up the stairs, and then it hits her, and
Yeah,
she starts
and she pukes up her
puking.
guts, falls down the stairs, and stabs herself with her own knife.
Yep.
And like as
Two with the stairs. This
yeah,
fella.
and Peter goes and grabs the keys because he wants to go free his sister out of the wall, and she's like, "Don't let her out! Don't let her out!"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I will say, Peter knows what he needs when he needs it
Mhm.
because he remembered those keys
Yeah,
on
when
the way
he
out.
needed them.
on the way out, and
Mhm.
I was not expecting that because she could. What's her name?
Miss Divine.
Miss Divine.
Yeah,
I just wanted to hear you say it.
Divine.
She tries to get out
yeah,
before, and she
yeah.
can't. And then, so that was something cool I noticed about the kid was like, okay, maybe he's like a little bit.
Can we just mention the
up.
like janitor bungee cord she has these keys attached to?
Oh yeah.
The little. Yeah, you can't let your kid get the keys to the house.
Yeah.
Especially the secret closet that you keep the keys to on your hip,
Especially now when there's a spider lady in your walls.
right?
Oh my god.
You think you'd have those keys locked somewhere else.
Yeah, but oh my god, the last like 25 minutes of this movie is just pure chaos.
And that's where we're like, where is this going? Because the parents are dead,
Yeah.
and we have this demon in the walls that is about to be released.
Yeah.
Well, and they let you relax just a little bit again.
Yeah, because you think it's like safe.
Well, they show the kid in his room, and then you see his sister like clean up the bodies. Like the bodies would, like she pulled
Just
a few.
dragging them away.
She was
Yeah.
dragging them away, and we're like, okay, was she just cleaning up before she like, I don't know,
I thought she was just like having
becomes a
dinner.
family with
Yeah,
her
cooks
brother
dinner.
again? Yeah, she
No, I
just
thought
comes
she was
out.
having them for dinner.
Oh yeah, that too. Well, you gotta get it a nice medium rare.
Yeah, I
you
was
know?
like, why is she cleaning? Like, is she just gonna sit down? And,
She
like
pulls
make
out a
tea?
mop, cleans up all the blood.
I just wanted to be out of the wall. That's all I wanted.
I
She
didn't tell
sits
you.
Down.
It's like I didn't think you'd actually kill them. I just wanted to get out.
Right?
It's like, my god. All right, well, you're gonna go back into
Now-
timeout.
One thing I think we should touch on is the, you're just like me. It's like you killed him. You're just like me.
Right.
It was kind of confusing because Danielle and I were kind of leaning towards the spirit kind of
Mhm.
demon type thing,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well, normally those type of entities just want something.
Yeah, they wanna, like, possess.
They just want to possess or
Yeah.
take. And this
Like
was
they don't have emotion.
you're just like
Right.
me. So it was like she had to trade spots in the basement for somebody. So that was a little confusing for
Yeah.
me. I
Yeah.
could be just reading way
Well,
too much into it.
And
but
like the ending kind of doesn't really end.
mm-mm.
And like
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
weird.
tell if the scene that they show you, because you know they lock Spider Girl in the dungeon, and she basically gives this like fucking spooky monologue.
Yeah,
of
it was
just
pretty
like,
cool.
After murdering all the teenagers
After
in the
murdering
house,
everybody, yes.
That happened.
But she gives this like spooky monologue where she's basically like, every creak, every knock, every sound, every shadow, you're gonna think it's me. And the kid is like on the bottom of the stairs with Miss Divine, but then it cuts to him like in a room in like a new house, and like the spider hair's crawling all over, and like she's in his bed, and then she's behind him, and she's like, "I'll always be with you."
Yeah.
So I'm like, is it just him? Like, are they just kind of showing like a dream sequence again where it's like he's going to just be haunted by the memory of this fucking thing for the rest of his
Right.
life? Or are they actually showing you he moved to a new house and she's legitimately in the room?
You're never really sure,
Right.
Because they it's kind of refreshing to have a movie just end though.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're not giving you the, this is the day after and everyone's
Right.
Right.
recovering.
It was kind of nice because they were like, no, story's over.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is gonna happen to him the rest of his life. We just wanted to show you this part. Cool.
Yeah, you do see one more flash of him and the teacher like unlocking the door, and they're like about to leave,
Yeah.
and then that happens. So like I think they did get out.
Well, yeah, like I assume they got out,
Right.
but it was just
Yeah.
like, it was such a quick shift into he's already got a new life, and it's still in the middle of her monologue, so it doesn't feel like time has passed, but the scene they show you tells otherwise.
Yeah.
So it was the only thing that kind of, it didn't like ruin the movie or anything. It was still an amazing.
That's
like,
what I mean. It was just a little confusing. There's a couple things at the end where I was like, huh.
It seemed a little bit like they weren't sure how to end it.
Yeah.
Like they had this whole thing going, and then they're like, well, now what do we do?
It's like, shit, do we have the kid kill her in the dungeon?
Yeah.
Or
light it on fire.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. I kind of like that they didn't put that little extra thing that would lock them into a certain way.
Sure, they could always make a sequel if they wanted to.
Right.
Right.
Not
like
that I'm not advocating for a sequel, but sometimes
Cobweb
it's nice
2,
to
the tangling.
just end a movie like that, just because you can.
Right. Yeah. No. And I mean, it like, you know, I'm one to complain about endings. I mean, you guys know.
Oh yeah.
Shocker.
If they'd have changed this one thing.
But like, you know, and I think we said it with The Shape of Water, where we were like, we needed something more at the end.
Yeah.
To kind of solidify that
this
story.
Movie, we didn't.
The
story was already solid.
Yeah. Like I sat there and I was like, I'm confused, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
I'm confused, but I'm all right with it.
If I need to know, I'll find out. Like,
and
it's fine.
You can't get that attitude from me, who's watched, like, we've all watched so many movies.
Right.
It's like, well, you can't get that attitude from me unless, no, you did the story really well, and I actually don't care that the ending doesn't meet all my requirements.
It's like, all right, this is how you want it to end it. I'm honestly fine with that.
Yep.
Like, I'll take it. It was fun.
Yeah. And it's a nice self-contained story. Wow. If you know, if there were no sequels and it's not part of a franchise, it's nice that it can be its own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I really appreciated how they told the story. They didn't give too much or not enough.
Yeah,
it was
no.
like,
and it was a nice, refreshing take on like spooky shit in their walls, or like almost like the haunted house kind of vibe.
The best part was they did so many things that happen in a lot of horror movies, but they did them really well.
Right.
Like they do the creepy walking and the footsteps, but they also left out a lot of stuff that detracts from it. Like, you can have some good cinematography, but if you have like 5 jump scares and it's not actually the real thing,
right,
I'm going to be unhappy with your movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, if you just wasted an hour and a half of just 70% jump scares and 30% actual movie, it's like, nah, I don't care.
And I really like the no fake. Well, first of all, there really wasn't any jump scares.
No.
But
it was all like atmospheric, and then when she gets released, then it's like just chaos.
Yep. And I was so glad that they didn't do, you know how they like completely different scene. It's the boy in his room scared out of his mind, and then it quick cuts to like the mom opening a drawer in the kitchen, and you're like, oh, there's a jump scare. I would have probably stabbed you.
Yeah, or it's like the best friend closing the refrigerator, and he's
Hey, you want a cold one? No.
What movie are we watching?
It's like, whoa. It's like, oh, sorry, bro, didn't mean to scare you. Anyway, we're about to go hang out with Stacy. You want to come?
They stayed away from all that stuff.
Yeah,
and they, I don't want to say made it like a classic, but they kind of followed the ingredients to make one of these films,
right?
And they just didn't add anything stupid.
Yeah,
they made everything really cool.
They made a solid horror film.
It looked like they actually like gave a shit. And it was like, we want to make a good story.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing that I take away from movies to determine whether or not I liked it is like in the horror category. Did I feel creeped out a little bit? Yes, I did. And that doesn't happen very often.
Nope.
A lot of horror movies, I'm like, well, that wasn't creepy. It wasn't scary. What's the point, you know? I want to be creeped out a little.
It kind of looks like we might be headed in a decent direction for horror films.
If this is the new ideas coming out.
There's been a couple, of course, I'm not going to name them all, but there's been a few that come out in the last, within a year. There's been a couple movies like, all right, that's sweet.
Dude, I think I have a reason for that. I think COVID fucked people's heads up so much being locked inside.
We're like, oh my God, there's too many bad movies. We got to start making better ones.
Like, I'm sure some guy like started hearing creaking in his house and he's like, I wonder if it's a spider lady. I'm going to write a movie about it.
Nah, but it's just like they've just been making dog doo-doo horror films for years now. And there's only, how many years in the last 10 has it been? Oh, did you see that 1 or 2 movies that came out that entire year? Those were the only 2 good ones.
Right. Well, I mean, like, look at the horror genre. Like, you took movies like The Conjuring, you turned it into this expanded universe of just jump scares and terrible stories when you started on such a firm base. Like, that movie legitimately is terrifying.
Well, the main thing is you can't use the Marvel formula in horror films. It doesn't work. We're tired of it. Stop.
Yes.
Stop it.
Do something unique.
I don't need the Nun to be tied into my Conjuring, my Annabelle.
Why?
Like
there's no reason. They put nods are what's supposed to be in it.
Right.
They're supposed to be a nod. Hey, we got our inspiration from these people.
Right.
Here's a little thing in the corner of the film.
Yeah.
Not like I hate it.
Yeah. And now we have more Saw, but
I'm still watching that one. I take back everything I just said. They're making some great films today. No, it's gonna be terrible, but I want to see how they. You know why. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I full-heartedly recommend this one as a legitimate sit-down horror film for your Halloween.
Make some popcorn. Cut the lights. This was a good one.
This is definitely a popcorn movie where you're gonna want something to be shoving in your face because you're gonna be scared.
Now I wish we had popcorn the whole time.
Damn it! All right, well, let's end this so we can go eat some popcorn.
All right, we'll watch it again.
Yeah,
with popcorn.
With popcorn. But I mean, that'll wrap up our first little spooky episode for the season. We'll catch you guys next time with another haunting tale.
I'm wearing something different next time. I'm not wearing this again.
I'm sweating too much in this. All right, we'll catch you guys next time.
And bye-bye.
Bye. Woo. Sorry, I had to do the ghost voice.
Oh my god, I have to take this off.
You sweating?
We gotta leave this in. Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off. Take it all off.
Bye.